I'm Jill Macoska. I'm a professor of biology at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. I'm actually a distinguished professor of science and mathematics, and I'm the director of the Center for Personalized Cancer Therapy. I think the average person should understand that decisions on treatment for disease require some very objective information. And that objective information might actually be derived from some of the proteins or RNA or lipids or other macromolecules found in a patient's body. And so those molecules can actually serve as biomarkers. And they're like monitors. They're almost like surveillance systems. And so they can actually inform a physician what disease process might be going on, what stage the disease process is in, whether the disease process might be treatable by known therapeutics. And then after administration of therapeutics, is the disease process responding? So before the patient even would start to feel better or feel worse, the physician would know whether or not that treatment is actually hitting the target. And if it's not, and this is really important for cancer and other diseases, I shouldn't, just because I do cancer research, I shouldn't be so, totalitarian about it, but it actually saves the patient critical time in terms of time lost to non-therapeutic response. You could learn a lot from saliva. So anything that's going on, almost anything going on in the head and neck region, and perhaps even in the digestive system, might show up in saliva. And so saliva is a very rich source of all kinds of proteins. People are finding RNA in saliva. There's metabolomes that are present in saliva. And again, it reflects the disease state. And so one thing that saliva could be used for is actually to gauge something like periodontal disease, okay? Whether or not how severe it is, whether it's responding to antibiotic treatment, even whether the patient is flossing like they say they are. If they aren't, evidence of that would actually be in the saliva. We don't know anything. I mean, we're just now finding that there's a whole microbiome in the urine and that it does in fact reflect disease processes. So that's a new thing. And that's something, again, that can be monitored over time. So that's the beauty of biomarkers, is that they can be monitored. And so you can tell if a patient is getting sicker, getting better, is responding to therapy, is not responding to therapy, went to another country. That shows up in things like your microbiome, believe it or not. And so urine is a rich source for that. It is a rich source for DNA and RNA and protein, all of which can be biomarkers. So again, everything that goes through your whole GI tract, that can, or not GI, pardon me, your genitourinary tract. So that would include your kidneys, okay, all the way down the urethra into the bladder, the prostate. Any disease process in the upper or lower tract, evidence of that is going to show up in the urine. And so it's very useful biospecimen. I think it's going to actually expand rapidly. I think that now that we can exploit a bigger variety, I guess, of macromolecules that could be used as biomarkers, especially the microbiome, the metabolome, which we didn't even talk about, the whole RNA transcriptome, and then, of course, genetic factors. It just opens the door to be able to use these alone or in combination, actually, to be able to assess the overall health of an individual, quite frankly, and whether or not there are disease processes going on that might not even be clinically significant yet, that could be caught early and treated before they kind of get out of hand. So I think actually the door's open to all of that. The kind of collaborations I would like to have would actually be with probably academic or industrial partners who are interested in the entire spectrum of biomarker discovery and utilization. There is, especially among industry, and I can't speak for France, I can only speak for the US, there's a bit of a vacuum in industry when it comes to biomarker development and validation. It's not easy. Most companies focus on therapeutics. They don't focus on biomarkers, but they badly need biomarkers to figure out if their therapeutics are effective. And so I think that there should be some impetus from industry and perhaps even from the federal government to step up funding for biomarker discovery and validation. And if there are colleagues overseas, in France, for example, who are also interested in that, pooling of resources to get this accomplished, I think, could go a long way.